We sold this ENVE Mog 6 months ago, and now it's back for a rebuild.
The ENVE Mog is an ultra-light, sub-kilo frame built to rip with a modern gravel geometry and 50mm tire wheels. It's just as happy cruising fire roads as it is shredding single track. Fast, flickable, and dialed for performance. Safe to say, this is one of the best gravel bikes on the market right now.
This ENVE Mog was taken out of our workshop 6 months ago, and through a combination of some slight mistakes that were made during the build process and some particularly heavy use from the user, then we're basically going to have to do a complete rebuild on this bike. There's also going to be a little chance to upgrade the bike as well while we're at it at the same time. So yeah, let's have a look at the issues. The issues with the ENVE Mog include the power meter isn't charging. Unfortunately, on the installation, the vinyl wrap, there was some oily fingerprints put on the frame and not cleaned away before the vinyl was put on top in multiple places on the frame. So that's something we have to take off completely, clean the frame up, and then reinstall. The front wheel bearings are totally toast. The next thing is the headset. So the headset's been leaking orange gungy rust basically. So we're going to take the headset out and we're going to take the chance to install some SLT bearings from Ceramic Speed, which basically just don't rust and last for ages. And we've got a little issue with the bottom bracket. Spin that next to your mic. Oh! Are you okay?
I'm safe here.
You're safe here. It's another Ceramic Speed product. It seems like there was either a lack of the right number of spacers installed, or there seems to be a bit of a premature wear on the bottom bracket, but it shouldn't be wearing down because the Ceramic Speed bearings are very hard. So we'll need to take the chain set off and have a good look at what's gone wrong there. The next thing is the rear mech. The rear mech that was installed was XO, and he wants to change it up to an XX. Basically, it's just to make the bike a little bit nicer. Everything wants to be matching. We've got SRAM red shifters, so we want to have XX chain set, and we also want to have an XX.
SRAM red chain set.
SRAM red chain set?
Yeah.
What's the difference between XX and SRAM red?
XX is a mountain bike part.
Oh right,
it's
okay.
a road/gravel part.
Oh, because it's mullet, so it's a road front and, a mountain bike rear.
Yeah.
See, we learn something new every day. Next, the customer has a dropper post on his gravel bike, but he basically just isn't using it, and it's just extra weight and more hassle than it's worth for him. The next thing that's going on is the disc rotors. We've got some Hope disc rotors on there. Again, no matchy-matchy. We want to put some SRAM red disc rotors onto that. Slight issues with the paint, so there's a little bit of chipping on the paint around the dropout. Also some paint damage in the loose frame caddy, which is also an issue down here because the play and the wrapping of that part is wearing away at the paint on the frame. So that's creating an issue that we want to move on from. There's also a little bit of a tragic case of the bar tapes just been wrapped terribly, so we want to just address that. And finally, we have a case of rusty bolts. So there's grub screws in the frame, 2 on the bottom of the seat tube that are particularly rusty, so we want to get them out, clean them up, put them back in.
So in a strip down like this, it's obviously important that you mount the bike on a stand. We decided we're just going to start by taking off the chain, which we would check for wear, and yeah, we're glad we did, because it's knackered.
See how the chain just falls down when it's held against here? Just that, especially on a 1x drive train, like see that, that's not good.
That's not good at all.
That's not, hear it rattling.
Ugh.
You hear it on my mic.
Continuing on from there, take off the wheels. Remove the chain set, which is usually a little bit hard. Next, the axle was absolutely knackered. There was spacers all over the show, and because the bottom bracket was so worn, it's digging into the axle. Yeah, loads of play there. Not good. Moving the other side, sometimes it's tricky with these T47s, but the Abbey tools that we have are really good. Make short work of removing the bottom bracket. Once it was out, it was obviously a little bit knackered, so we decided the best thing to do was just to put it in the bin. Because yeah, next it was just taking off the rear mech, and by the time that's off, there's not much left to do. We just had the brake hoses to take out the frame, and that's it.
Unfortunately, there's some pretty bad fingerprints underneath this vinyl. On top of that, there's several areas on the frame where it's all peeling off, and grit, damage, water's got underneath. So the biggest and trickiest part of this job really, in my opinion, will be taking the ride wrap off this frame and reapplying it. So that's what we're going to do now. Right now you can see Doug using the heat gun to take away the ride wrap from the bike. Unfortunately, if you don't use heat and take your time, there's a high damage that you're going to effectively strip the paint off as you peel the ride wrap off. So in order to avoid that situation, we are just using the heat gun and taking our time. So now Doug's done a great job at taking all the ride wrap off. You can see there's just loads of kind of combination of a little bit of what looks like rust, but just ultimately grit, dirt, like heavy soiling and grease everywhere. So the first thing we need to do to this fork and the frame is just a thorough clean and then start the rebuild process from there. I'm going to rinse off the Mog for a good old washing down, and just to start with, I'm wetting it up. And then I'm going to use some muck off and just see if I can clean this up real nice before we watch where I'm spraying.
Once the bike had been cleaned, I couldn't have been happier with how it came out. I think it looks great and I can't wait for it to get rebuilt. But first, let's have a look at the parts that are going on the bike next.
Jesus.
The parts that we're going to be putting on this bike to fix the issues are the SRAM red rotors, this and this, two separate bits of metal so that just it cools slightly better. We've also got some SLT headset bearings. These are just really good. They don't wear out anywhere near as fast as a metal equivalent. We have some Enduro bearings. These are really high performance steel bearings for the front zip wheel. As I was mentioning, the customer didn't like the dropper post on this gravel bike, so we have the actual ENVE one, just so again everything's matched. We also have a new bottom bracket from Ceramic Speed that's going in for, it's going in as a replacement of the one that's coming out, because the one that's in there fits the rotor 30mm axle, and the new chain set that's going in is this puppy. This is the red Explorer Power Meter chain set. The brand spanking new one as well, looks really cool. So we've got that red chain set. A couple more things are the XX rear mech. So if I can work out how to open this, I'll show you it. XX rear mech as opposed to the XO, just a little bit lighter, a little bit more exotic as such than the XO that's currently on it. Again, this wasn't available when the bike was getting shipped out to the customer, so we put the XO one on. The XX is what's going on now.
The new parts are saying wait to go on and the ride wrap is ready to be rewrapped. Make sure you tune in next week to see that process, because it's going to be really awesome seeing this thing built up into a bike. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can come back next week and catch the full build video in part 2.
And we've got a little issue with the bottom bracket. Spin that next to your mic. Oh!